Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to my review of last night's Great Balls of Fire pay-per-view. And, such a stupid name for a pay-per-view. But anyways, I thought last night's Great Balls of Fire was a decent pay-per-view. Thank God I didn't have to call this pay-per-view Great Balls of Shit if I was expecting shit for this show. Thank God I didn't have to end up calling that, and then it would have been a rant. But it was a decent pay-per-view. Great Balls of Fire. Really liked how when the pay-per-view started, it showed like the cars and the movie screen, like the old school how they used to do at old school drive-ins, where they would show certain the trailers and then the start time of the film. They basically show like matches that were on the card, and then after that it would show like Great Balls of Fire starts in like 10 minutes, and it was really cool how they did it. Actually, surprisingly liked it. But I'm gonna start off with the first match that was on the Kickoff pre-show, and it was Neville versus Akira Tozawa for the Cruiserweight title. And originally on the Kickoff pre-show was supposed to be Enzo and Big Cass, but they ended up moving it to the pay-per-view, the regular card. And this match, I have to say, it was a decent match. Like both of these guys, huge fan of Neville and Akira Tozawa. But it was a decent match. It was back and forth. Almost made it feel like that they wanted Tozawa to win the Cruiserweight title tonight, but instead, it came a moment in the match where we thought Tozawa was going to win the Cruiserweight title, but then Neville ended up rolling out of the ring. But Neville got the upper hand on Akira Tozawa at the end of the match, and so Neville still retains the Cruiserweight title. But it was a decent match. And you had Titus O'Neil out there, just rooting on Tozawa. But it was a decent match, Neville and Akira Tozawa. Like I said, I like both of these guys. They're both really entertaining. And now moving on to the first match to kick off the pay-per-view. It was Bray Wyatt versus Seth Rollins. Good match. I have to say this is probably Bray Wyatt's best match in my opinion. It was just all out back and forth between both of these guys, between Bray and Seth. You had Bray suplexing Seth off of the top rope. It was just really good. And then Bray Wyatt hit at the end of the match. He hit Sister Abigail on Seth Rollins to score the win. So it was a good match, and in my opinion, Bray Wyatt's best match that he had. But it was a good match. Really enjoyed it. And then the next was Big Cass versus Enzo Amore. Very shitty match. It was just a squash match. Before the match even started, you had Enzo coming out, cutting the promo, talking about Big Cass. It was a really good, it was a good promo that he cut. And we saw that Big Cass got new entrance music, which is okay. Not great though, but he has a okay new entrance music though. But this was just a squash match. Just Big Cass getting the upper hand on Enzo and just dominating through the match. He threw Enzo out of the ring, and then he just hit a big boot to Enzo to score the win. So it was really it was just really a squash match, though it was a shitty match. And then the next match it was the 30-minute Iron Man match for the Raw Tag Team titles. First ever 30-minute Iron Man match. Iron Man Tag Team match. And it was Cesaro and Sheamus versus the Hardy Boyz. When the match started, Sheamus just hit a brogue kick to Matt Hardy, scored the first pinfall for them, and then it was just Cesaro and Sheamus just dominating on Jeff Hardy, and by the end, the Hardy Boyz ended up coming back, and then just every time the Hardys went to pin, Cesaro would just not let them score a pin. He would always come in and break up the pin. But in the end, Cesaro and Sheamus got the win. Matt Hardy was actually busted open, was bleeding. But Cesaro and Sheamus won the match. They still retained the tag team titles, which really wanted the Hardy Boyz to regain the tag, just to win the Raw tag team titles again. But it was just Cesaro just breaking up pin counts, and this final score of the match was 4-3. Cesaro and Sheamus for the Hardy Boyz 3. So it was a pretty disappointing, because it may look like the Hardy Boyz were actually gonna win the Raw tag team titles again, but still it was a good match, aside from the disappointing end. And then after that, it was Sasha Banks versus Alexa Bliss for the Raw Women's title, and it was a good match. Sasha was good in the match, just laying the smackdown, like The Rock would say, on Alexa Bliss. Just back and forth between both of them, but Sasha ended up getting the win by count out, and so Alexa still retains the Raw Women's title. So it was a good match between Sasha and Alexa. And then after that, we had Miz versus Dean Ambrose for the Intercontinental title. Miz was out there with, of course, Maurice and Curtis Axel and Bo Dallas, and it was an okay match. Was it good? No. Was it great? No. But it was okay. Wasn't spectacular, but it was back and forth between the both of them. It was at certain points where Curtis Axel got involved. Dean Ambrose just put him in the ring the hard way. You had Maurice interfere in, which led Miz to retain the title. So Miz hit the skull crushing finale on Dean Ambrose to score the win and retain the Intercontinental title. So, but all in all, it was just an okay match. And then we had, in my opinion, the best match of the night. Braun Strowman versus Roman Reigns in an ambulance match. Crazy back and forth between Strowman and Reigns. I like the chemistry between Braun and Reigns. Their feud has been really good. I'm really enjoying it. And you had a certain point where Reigns was gonna spear Strowman, but Strowman got out of the way, and then Reigns just went right into the ambulance. Strowman shut the ambulance doors, and Strowman won the match. And then after the match, Reigns came right out of the ambulance, and then just started taking out Strowman. Yeah, at one point in the match where Strowman just threw Reigns on the stage, and then Reigns just threw Strowman into the LED screen, knocking a little bit of it down. And when Strowman was in the ambulance, because Reigns put Strowman in the ambulance, Roman drove the ambulance through the parking lot, and then in reverse, he put the ambulance in reverse, full force. He ended up hitting the back of the ambulance into a semi-truck, which we haven't seen them do that in a while. I think the last time they did that was back in like 2003, with uh, well, it was 2002. They had when The Rock was in the ambulance, and Hogan just it was Hulk Hogan when he was with the NWO with him, Kevin Nash, and Scott Hall, where Hogan had that semi truck and he just rammed it right into the ambulance with The Rock in it. But but the last time we got that was 2003, where Kane and Shane McMahon, where Shane McMahon just rammed there was a limo and Kane was in it, ran the limo into the bottom of a semi truck. But it's been a long time since we've seen that, so that's something extreme. And people there after Reigns backed the ambulance into the semi truck. Just people were taking photos of it. Kurt Angle was out there. He was like, "Oh, don't take any more photos." They were trying to get Strowman out of the ambulance, but then, they put this throwaway match there because of how long, it was going to take to get the ambulance open. So it was Heath Slater versus Curt Hawkins, and I think nobody cared for this match because when their match was happening, they had one side was the match, Heath Slater and Curt Hawkins. Another side was the stuff that was happening in the parking lot. We see the fire truck come in. These fire truck guys, firefighter guys, were trying to plot to break the door down, to break the ambulance door down on the side to get Strowman out. So they used a crowbar to get the door open, and we finally hear the bell ring, and Heath Slater beat Curt Hawkins. So nobody cared for that, but we saw the fire engine guy, the fire truck guys, firefighter guys, trying to crowbar and break down the side door of the ambulance. And when they finally got it open, we saw just Strowman just busted open. He was bleeding on his arm, and Strowman refused to get medical attention because they were just like, "Oh, I'm fine. I'll just let it. I'll just walk it." And so we saw Strowman just sort of like tipsy, like he would walk and then fall over, walk and then fall over. So he refused medical attention, and gotta say this pay-per-view had blood, from Matt Hardy bleeding. Forgot to mention Dean Ambrose bled from the mouth, and during his match with Miz, and now Braun Strowman was busted open, bleeding from the face and on the arm. So, but that was pretty much basically filler because they wanted to make Lesnar and Joe short match, have them have a short match. So it was pretty brutal seeing Strowman bleeding from the face and the arm. So, and then one other thing that also happened during the ambulance match is you had Roman Reigns. He took a chair, and Strowman wasn't even selling the chair shots. He was just there like his arm was just moving. He wasn't selling it or nothing. So, but yeah. So, anyways, moving on to the main event, the most hyped up highlight for this pay-per-view: Brock Lesnar versus Samoa Joe for the Universal title. And this was a good match, but the ending was disappointing. Which before the bell even rung, because Paul Heyman was introducing Lesnar, and just from out of nowhere, Joe just attacks Brock Lesnar from behind, and then Joe puts Lesnar through the announce table, which is crazy. It looked like Joe was ready for this. Lesnar was just like Lesnar looked like he wasn't even ready, because because it was Joe taking the upper hand through this match, And then they just had Lesnar just do his typical, uh, you know, moves during the match, you know, suplexes and F5s. You had Joe locking the coquina clutch on Lesnar like 2 or 3 times. Joe actually low blow Lesnar. He pulled the ref and just hit, and then just hit a low blow to Lesnar, which that was that was cool to keep Lesnar down. But in the end, Joe locked on the coquina clutch to Lesnar for I think the 3rd time. Lesnar ended up counting it into an F5, and then Lesnar just got the pin. Lesnar wins the match, and he still retains the Universal title with the F5. And I knew Joe wasn't going to win the title, you know, tonight. I think they're setting it up for maybe a rematch between him and Lesnar at SummerSlam. I think Joe might win the Universal title at SummerSlam. That's why I think they're setting it up for. So, but it was kind of a disappointing end. Would have liked to see the match go on longer and, you know, Joe kick out of the F5, but didn't end up happening. So, but all in all, it was a good match, but a disappointing end, in my opinion. I think the match should have went on a lot longer than it did. You know, really wanted to see Joe kick out of the F5 at the end and, you know, let the match keep going. So, but all in all, it was a good match, aside from the disappointing end. So, anyways, that's it for my review of last night's Great Balls of Fire pay-per-view. Thank you all for watching. Be sure to give the video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you all later tonight for my Raw review. So I hope Raw is a good show tonight, or a decent show, coming off of last night's Great Balls of Fire. So until later tonight when I do my Raw review, I'll see you all back later tonight. So anyways, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all later tonight. Bye.